Hello everybody, welcome to my channel. Today we're going to be making this standing gate fold card. It looks like this when it's, it's hard to do it 2D of course. It looks like this when it's on the shelf to be displayed, but it folds flat and fits into a standard envelope. So when you open it, it's got this extra little panel that pops it out and makes this look like a little W. So it's quite quick and easy to make. So without further ado, let me get started. It's using a piece of balmy blue cardstock and it's cut at 5.5, but it's actually only 8. It's not the usual 8 inches. So it's 5.5 by 8 and it's scored at 1 7/8 and 3 3/4. And then again from the other side, 1 7/8 and 3 3/4, which leaves that fun little panel down the middle. So let me just go ahead and crease the pre-scored folds. So that's how it looks. It needs to actually fold back on itself. So you've got a sort of, well, M, W. It's like when we do the ZZ fold, sometimes they look like an S, but you get the idea. It's got the 2 folds and then the little straight piece in the middle. It also needs 3 pieces of designer series paper, and they need to be cut at 5 3/8 by 3. We're actually going to cut them down, actually 3.5. I do apologize. It's 5 3/8 by 3.5, and we're going to cut them down to be 1 3/4. But the reason I cut them out in a solid is because we want to keep the pattern of each side to flow across. So you can see how this goes and this goes. The opposite side of this is the snowflakes, and they're so busy it really doesn't matter. But when it comes to the trees, I just think it looks a little bit nicer if there's a continuity. So 3.5, half of 3.5 is 1 3/4. So we'll cut that set for one side. I'll put it there. Cut this one 1 3/4 lined up on the paper trimmer, and cut that for the other side. And then this one will be, I mean, you could make it be the trees. I just chose to use the other side. So 1 3/4 for the final piece. And then, like I say, I'm going to opt to use the snowflakes, but if you were going to use them, they would still match up. And then what you need is a piece of balmy blue cardstock, and this is 4 1/4 by 3. There's a piece of moonlight, misty moonlight, and that's cut down just a little bit. That's 4 1/8 by 2 7/8. And then let me make sure I get the right piece. There's a piece of basic white, and that's 2 5/8 by 3 7/8. And then there's just another scrap of paper because we need something to stamp and punch out the polar bear. So let me go ahead and attach the designer series paper to the card base. And actually, quick little shout out, this designer series paper is called A Walk in the Forest, and for every pack that's sold, Stampin' Up! Donate $3 to a good cause. So that's always a fun thing to, nice to support a free cause just by buying paper, which most people would want to do anyway. And it's a really nice set. So let me just make sure I've got my papers in the right order. So we'll pop that one onto there, and it's really just got a smidger. It's got like an 1/8 of an inch border around. So I'll pop that one on there, and as you can see, there is the continuity of the tree. This one, make sure we've got the right trees going on. So this one goes to the left, and then the other one goes to the right. There's a song in there somewhere, isn't there? And then we'll flip them over and we'll attach the snowflakes to the other side. So like I say, it's not so important that they particularly match up because snowflakes are random. So we'll pop that one on the front on that side and that one on the front on the other side. And that's really the body of the card is ready to have the fun parts made. So what we'll do is we will stamp the polar bear. This came from the Very Cute set and it also comes with a polar bear punch. So we'll be able to punch him out. I've used one of the other polar bears a little bit more often and they didn't come with a punch. So there we go, quick and easy. And then we're just going to line it up into the punch and punch him out. And actually, in the process of, here's one I made earlier, I've actually covered this with the Wink of Stella with the glitter brush. So I did that earlier, of course, so that the glue could dry, but that's the process of stamp and punch. And then I covered him with Wink of Stella and that's ready to go on the card in a little while. So now we just need to build the card front up. I'm actually going to bring in a piece of scrap paper and using the basic white, I'm going to use the trees from Forever Forest. And I'm going to stamp them 3 times. So I'm going to give them a really good inking. Make sure we've got plenty of ink on them. And then I'm going to, probably about 1/2 inch up from the bottom, I'm going to stamp it off to one side and off to one side. So you can see this just gets paler and paler as it goes on through. So that's using the Balmy Blue ink, which of course matches the cardstock and the designer series paper. And then I'm going to bring in the Misty Moonlight ink and I'm going to stamp the Warm Wishes greeting. And because the top trees are really the 3rd generation of the ink and the Misty Moonlight is a darker ink anyway, it shows up quite nicely. And then we're going to attach our little Wink of Stella bear. Just gonna pop him on. I'll just use the piece of scrap paper while it's there so I don't get any ink on my work surface. And pop him on. Occasionally I would have used dimensionals, but the front panel itself is going to be lifted up on dimensionals, so I didn't want it to be too fat to go in the envelope. So quickly run some adhesive on the back of the white and attach it to the Misty Moonlight layer. And then again, just attach that to the Balmy Blue, which is slightly smaller. So you just got to make sure you've got an even border around. And then what we need to do is, using some dimensionals, we are going to attach this to just this panel. So I know when we do the ZZs, we fold it over, but you can't do that in this instance. What I'm going to do is just center it where it would be, and then I can see the distance that I can put the dimensionals into this little panel in the middle. So I know if I put one there, it's not going to overhang the edge of the center panel. And then put another one and another one to make sure it has enough support. And then quickly peel off the backing papers. And then when we come to pop this on, you can eyeball the top and the bottom are even and just press it and make sure that it stays neatly. I'll bump my camera somewhere along the line. Make sure it stays neatly in the space so it it's not going to be attached and stop the mechanism from working. So like I say, it folds flat and is 4 1/4 inches to go in a standard envelope. Enough dimensionals, it will make it through the mail, but with that, if we'd have stuck extra dimensionals on the polar bear, it might have made it a little bit too fat, and we don't want to have to pay extra postage if we don't have to. So that's it, snap. 2 of the same card. It's really quite effective that it stands up and you've got sort of, you know, like a full view of the front and the back at the same time when the card is displayed. If you like what you've seen, please subscribe to my channel. I like likes, I like shares. I'm also going to be putting some still versions of this on my Facebook page. Everything, there'll be links to things in the bottom if you want to pop over and check that out. And last but not least, thanks so much for watching.